It's 106 on Talk Radio 790 KABC. You're listening to the John Phillips Show. Johnny is back on Monday, so it's Randy Wang broadcasting live from the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studio. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. You can email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Got a ton of Tony Bennett requests in. Try to get to as many as we can, and McIntyre's going to come on this at 2:35 to memorialize the Giant himself. And, of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Randy Wang Radio and see all the pictures of food and wine that I enjoy. And we have the podcast version of this show. I'll get the 12 o'clock hour up at some point. I was too busy giggling in the commercial break because we were supposed to have a guest here. Earlier in the week, we told you about the DA in Sacramento County, Tin Ho. He replaced Anne Marie Schubert when she went to unsuccessfully run for attorney general. And he sent out a survey to all the residents of Sacramento asking how the homeless has negatively impacted them, because he was going to compile documentation and evidence and sue Sacramento County and sue the city for not doing anything about homelessness. So we wanted to get his take on it and also his take on people like Pamela Price, who have the same job as him but have very, very, very different opinions of what that was. So he was booked. He was ready to go. And someone from his office heard the last hour and got offended, so they're not coming on now. So instead, let's open up the KBC Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
I'll tell you how the homeless are impacting people in San Francisco. A business owner got punched in the face from a bum because he told him to stop relieving himself on the side of his business. For more, here's KGO.
Less than 24 hours ago, Peterson Harder was assaulted while closing the security gates of Sandy's, his sandwich shop.
That's a cute name for a sandwich shop. I like this guy already. Get me a Sandy.
I was in the process of closing, so I'm kind of like defenseless because my hands are here, and he just comes down and just like pops me like that. And that's why I have a hit from here down and chipped my tooth a little bit as well.
His black eye.
Sucker punched.
His black eye tells a story of frustration. His story now reaching thousands of people on social media. He says it all happened after he confronted a person urinating outside of his shop.
I just got punched in the face right now by some guy that was pissing on the street.
Oh, my. You know what, KGO? I would go a little further with that bleep, so I'm just going to add my own there. But, oh, my.
I just got punched in the face right now by...
That almost could be a drop. I'm going to save that. I don't think it's ever going to make the wall, but it is good.
I just got punched in the face right now by some guy that was on the street.
There, that's a little cleaner.
And I'm really right now.
Yeah, he is. He used that term both ways.
I can't believe I live in...
It's a homonym.
I can't believe I live in a city where people can just on the street and come punch you in the face and get away with it. That is going to be the thing that scars me, is the fact that he's just like walked off.
This guy is so pissed off. I think we can say he is.
And I want you to be all the way pissed off.
And why wouldn't you be?
That is going to be the thing that scars me, is the fact that he's just like walked off. Like no consequences.
In a statement, SFPD said officers processed the scene for evidence and authored an incident report. No arrests have been made. They said this is an open and active investigation.
Can't they, maybe get some like DNA fabric and rub the black eye and see if they can get some, maybe some hair follicles or some skin shavings of the guy who punched him in the face? I knew they do that stuff on CSI, but is that like real?
In a statement, SFPD said officers processed the scene for evidence and authored an incident report. No arrests have been made. They said this is an open and active investigation. After posting what happened, Peterson said he received multiple messages of San Francisco residents and business owners with similar stories.
I want somebody to be empathetic and understand like what we're going through. And I don't feel like you see that. And I think that's like the frustrating part.
We see it, we hear it, and we feel for you. And if I was up in the Bay Area, I'd go buy a Sandy right now. I'm not even eating bread right now, but I would buy it to support this guy. It's awful what happened here.
It's not just me. There's so many other people that are going through this on a daily basis. Like, this is nothing.
We walked around Haight-Ashbury to speak to business owners and workers, and the feedback was complicated. The co-owner of Veganburg said he's also frustrated.
Wait, what is this restaurant?
The co-owner of Veganburg said he's...
You know what? I'm sure bad things have happened to the co-owner of Veganburg. I'm not eating there. I don't even want to know what that is.
The co-owner of Veganburg said he's also frustrated.
Short for burger, I'm sure.
I feel like there's more potential somewhere outside of San Francisco right now. It's been a slow, gradual increase in crime.
I mean, that's the perfect market for Veganburg. Maybe you can open one down here on the west side, but then you're going to have the exact same problem of people that do things to your building. You try to stop them, and then they punch you in the face. I don't know if Branson, Missouri is the place for Veganburg. I don't know if Bozeman, Montana is the place for Veganburg. You might be stuck in a big city.
Employees at Derby, San Francisco said people watch each other's back here.
Usually people don't get as aggressive as that one time. But if
Wait, I want to know what the one time was. She has a story. I need a follow-up now. This is why it's such a shame that news reports are only 3 minutes long. Dive deep into that story. Give me the extended cut. Do a podcast.
But if there is people that are being that way, there's people in charge that we can call.
The pepper spray, we usually keep here if anything happens, but...
What if you'd like to have your rice bowl al caliente? Can you spray a little on there so I get a little extra spice?
The pepper spray, we usually keep here if anything happens, but luckily we've never had to use it.
Haight-Ashbury's Merchants Association said their community ambassadors help keep this area safe.
You mean these community ambassadors?
People have been stabbed in Urban Alchemy. They've been shot, they've been attacked, and they still show up every single day as an alternative to policing for this community.
Got an update on them.
Their community ambassadors help keep this area safe. But what truly sets them apart is the sense of community.
If anything, incidences like this bring our community closer.
And community is what encourages Peterson to keep opening his doors, despite the black eye.
The other business owners have supported us, the neighbors have supported us, and I want to highlight that.
And that's just one part of the city. In another part of the city, in the Castro, business owners are actually now starting to protest. They're getting on the picket line and they're putting up signs, and it's not in solidarity with SAG-AFTRA. It's protesting the city for not doing anything about the bums that are destroying their businesses.
Merchants and residents from one San Francisco neighborhood gathered today to protest against a group of unhoused people who refuse to move.
This took place today in the Castro district. The protesters told ABC 7 News reporter Leanne Melendez that they have become increasingly frustrated with the city's inability to move them out. Leanne joins us now here with more on the situation in the Castro. Leanne?
Yeah, you know, and when it comes to neighborhoods, I could tell you that the Castro is not the worst neighborhood. But the residents and merchants there share the same kind of frustration that many people have. They just don't feel heard.
That's right. All the attention's being paid to the Tenderloin, but there's plenty of other districts in San Francisco that they need attention too.
Savio De Sosa is the owner of the UPS store on Market Street. He told us he no longer walks on the sidewalk to get to his own store. Instead, he jaywalks across Market Street.
Good thing that Phil Ting legalized that.
It smells. There are things that I see that I don't want to see anymore. It's like you kind of unsee stuff.
You know, at one point, we always talk about how we need more funding for mental health counseling. And I think we need that just for the business owners that have to see this human suffering on the streets every single day. This guy's getting PTSD from walking to work.
It smells. There are things that I see that I don't want to see anymore. It's like you kind of unsee stuff.
Today he asked other merchants and residents of the Castro district to join him to protest the encampment located near the corner of Market and Castro streets.
I have seen mattresses out here. I have seen barbecue pits out here.
They're smoking down there. And they're not just smoking meth, they're smoking pork butt.
I have seen mattresses out here. I have seen barbecue pits out here. I have seen a lot of things that shouldn't be on the sidewalk.
Really depressing to see what's going on.
Never expected a barbecue pit to be in a homeless encampment, but there's a first time for everything. I don't even want to know what kind of seasoning rub they're using.
Really depressing to see what's going on and tearing down the city. I've lived here almost 30 years and never seen anything like this.
We approached the people living there. Toro Castaño is known to residents and homeless advocates because he is part of a lawsuit that has temporarily halted the city from conducting sweeps of homeless encampments.
Thanks, advocate.
That has temporarily halted the city from conducting sweeps of homeless encampments, claiming it violates their constitutional rights.
It's got to be so unbelievably frustrating that even when local government tries to do the right thing, they get sued up the you-know-what by the activists, by the ACLU, by the people that think it's better to keep these people in the encampments than getting them treatment. That is so unbelievably frustrating and incredibly short-sighted. So you either have to think that these advocates are misguided and they're just, they're thinking the wrong way about this, or is it something more nefarious? And these are the people, the community-based organizations and the nonprofits that get all this funding from our homeless tax dollars, and that they want to stay in business. So can't have that number go down. That number can only go up. If we got rid of all the meth heads on Skid Row, who would we be giving meth pipes to?
Claiming it violates their constitutional rights.
What do you want? What are you trying to seek?
Ultimately, the building of affordable housing.
I share the frustration of merchants. This particular individual has been offered many different kinds of shelter, including tiny homes. He's often declined, and
he wouldn't even take a tiny home. Why is that a choice?
Often declined and left placements that he's been given because he would prefer to be on the street. But when
Castaño admitted that he has been offered shelter and even lived for 4 months in a temporary shelter run by the city. We also found out that during the pandemic, he sued the city after his belongings were taken.
Oh, God. Don't tell me we settled that.
He settled with the city and received $9,000.
This is why nothing can get done. Get a homeless person into a shelter and they sue the city because they lost their belongings. Oh, God.
In a statement, homeless advocate Jennifer Friedenbach said they are violating the law when they enforce anti-homeless laws without offering shelter first or throwing away people's property instead of storing it.
Yeah, but what if their property is an active biohazard or illegal drugs or paraphernalia or other things they shouldn't be having? Oh, no, that's their property. Got to sue them.
Merchants like DeSosa said
this is why we wanted to have the Sacramento DA on, because he was going to go the other way, sue the city for not doing anything. But they didn't like our first hour.
Merchants like DeSosa say they feel like no one is listening to them.
So you have reached out to the city, and what has...
Several times, yeah.
What has been the response?
Not really anything positive. It's just been, we're working on it, we hope to get something done kind of thing, but nothing else.
And by the way, the federal judge who ordered that sweeps in San Francisco be put on hold does not live in the city.
I am shocked. Tell me more.
Donna Ryu resides in the East Bay city of Albany, where homeless camps are illegal. And
yeah, maybe we got to appeal that one, because that's a little hypocritical. Somebody that lives in a fancy gated community where they don't allow homeless doesn't get to rule on whether or not we can clean up these encampments or not. It's like Mr. Gascon in Naples, Florida, telling everybody else that it should be totally fine to let criminals run rampant. But in his gated community, he doesn't have to worry.
We got some wobbly knees allies.
Translation, we've got some wobbly-kneesed allies.
And this is something that we hear all the time. I feel so frustrated, nobody's listening to me, and the city then says, we're working on it, and nothing is done.
Yeah. Taking
Major
matters into their own hands now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Leanne.
And that's why we have vigilante justice in San Francisco. We want to thank you so much for participating in this show, whether you listen, whether you tell your friends and family about it. even if they don't live in Southern California. We do talk a lot about Northern California. We talk about San Diego. But even your friends outside of California would have a good time listening to this show. Whether you call in at 800-222-KABC, you email us, you follow us on social media at Randy Wang Radio. We want to thank you for participating in this interactive radio program. Of course, if you ever miss any hour of this show, you can always download the podcast. We really appreciate that. Got to get those clicks. KABC.com. Go to the podcast section or go to the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download every single hour. You want to go back to last week when Johnny and I were together? That's easy to do. Want to go 3 years ago when Barbara Ferrer was ruling us like a queen?
I have no idea.
I don't know why anyone would want to do that either, but you could. Or do you want to listen to the 12 o'clock hour that we just did that offended the guest we were supposed to have at 1 o'clock, so they canceled on us? You can find out why. KABC.com, click on podcasts, and get the John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. We really do appreciate it. When we come back on the Fix California Hour, we have got a crime blotter story that is so unbelievably outrageous. I think we need a brand new segment because there are jackass criminals, there are thugs, there are creeps, to use an Ed Laskos-ism.
Enough already.
And then there are people that need a special place in hell. And we're going to talk about some of those people and what they did to an 82-year-old widow. It is cruel. It is awful. And you're going to hear about it next. Now, a quick correction, if I can, because apparently I've gotten 2 emails that when I was talking about George Gascon in the last segment,
We got some wobbly knees allies.
I said that he lived in Naples, and I swear that I said he lives in Naples, the neighborhood in Long Beach. But if I accidentally said he lives in Naples, Florida,
Quite frankly,
I apologize. Obviously, he lives in Long Beach in a very fancy neighborhood that if the riffraff came to that neighborhood, well, his neighbors would be all the way pissed off. Speaking of all the way pissed off, this one's going to get you extra irritated. In the Sacramento County area, an 82-year-old woman was victimized in one of the most ridiculously awful ways I can imagine. Jackasses stole her wedding ring. For more, it's time to go back to the KABC Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
I don't know if there's anything lower than victimizing a senior citizen, a widow if that, and stealing her precious mementos. What is wrong with you people? There's got to be special circumstances and enhancements for crap like that. For more, here's KCRA.
Since my husband passed it, I said, oh, there's so many angels out there of all these people that would help me do this or that, put gas in my car, what have you. I said, today I met the demons.
Oh, boy. That escalated quickly. She met the demons today.
This 83-year-old Elk Grove woman, only wanting to be identified as Marge, tells me those demons tricked her during a mid-morning donut run.
I was robbed in broad daylight. This is horrible.
Marge says she was leaving Java Time Donuts on Laguna Boulevard around 10 a.m. Monday when a black SUV parked behind her in this pull-off zone in front of the shop. She says a man driving the SUV pointed to her tires, indicating she might have a flat, and then a woman got out of the SUV and came up to her with a red envelope and some gold chains.
Okay, I can see where this racket is going. You know, every once in a while there is a really good Samaritan out there that is trying to help point out that something happened to your car. And I think people are so freaked out by scammers and crooks that you ignore them. How many times have you been on a highway and tried to honk at somebody and get the attention of the car in front of you or next to you because they just left the gas station and their gas cap is open? And you try to flag them down, and now they think that you're some crazy person trying to chase them. It's because of horrible people like this that we don't trust anybody talking to us when we're in our car.
And then a woman got out of the SUV and came up to her with a red envelope and some gold chains.
She says, bless you, and she was kissing my hands and rattling these chains. And in the meantime, I didn't realize she had taken my bracelet off. And then she proceeded to grab my ring off my index finger.
So she is doing the oldest sleight of hand trick in the book. Hey, check. First of all, this is the weirdest scam I've ever heard of in my life. Hey, ma'am, get out of your car. We think you have a flat. By the way, look at these chains. Oh, boy. I mean, it just adds an extra level of awfulness that they did this to an old widow. Like nothing is sacred anymore. Did these people have grandmothers? Probably not. But yeah, there's a special place in hell for these crooks.
That ring was Marge's wedding ring that she's had for 66 years.
How much money could you possibly get for pawning that? And you pawn shops out there, do your homework on who's turning in a 60-year-old wedding ring. If the person giving you that ring is not 80 and doesn't look like they just came from a funeral, you got some questions to ask.
Her husband passed away 3 years ago, making the theft that much more traumatizing.
You just feel violated. You feel violated. They're taking away something very personal from you. That was very special and important to me.
Police say what happened to Marge here is not a unique crime to Elk Grove. Similar sleight-of-hand robberies have happened across the region.
Go do the sleight-of-hand trick at the jewelry store. They've got insurance. You're robbing old women in daylight? I mean, remember what happened to Barbara Boxer just a few months ago in Oakland, in the nice part of Oakland? She got shoved by teenagers and they stole her cell phone. And she was screaming out, "But I'm a grandma!" Forget that she's a former senator. Why are we doing this to grandmas?
This is a common tactic that's been used for a number of years now, where the suspects will distract the victim by producing some other type of fake jewelry, essentially.
Elk Grove police also say these thieves are...
Yeah, I'm not going near, I'm not staying around for a second if someone starts showing me the jewelry they want to hawk at me. First of all, wrong audience for that. I do not look like the kind of guy that would wear a gold chain. I've got my wedding ring. That's it. No other jewelry for this guy. Yeah, I know. In 2011, I was a foolish person and got a lip piercing for about 10 minutes until my dad said he was going to cut me out of the will for it. True story.
Elk Grove police also say these thieves are not necessarily targeting certain groups of people and instead call these bold robberies crimes of opportunity. If this happens to you, police say you should scream to draw the attention of any bystanders. But if the thieves get away, try to get a good description of them and their vehicle.
We ask that you just do your best to be our best witness and just try to remember as much information as you can.
Marge says the people who took her jewelry told her they were from Dubai and seemed to be in their 30s.
This is getting weirder and weirder. I feel so bad for Marge.
It was just so overpowering.
She's sharing her story in the hopes that no one else becomes a victim.
Because I would like for other people to know that those type of things are out there happening and to be on the lookout, to be alert.
Reporting in Elk Grove, Orko Manna, KCRA 3 News.
What is this guy's name?
Reporting in Elk Grove, Orko Manna, KCRA 3 News.
Thank you for that report, Orko. KCRA's got some interesting reporter names. Their anchor's name is Golson.
Elk Grove police say that they are gathering traffic camera and surveillance video from that area to try to find out if they can find the suspects in this. Police have made no arrests so far.
There is so much opportunity for thievery in the state of California because we don't take thieving seriously. You can smash and grab a retail store. You can steal from the EDD and get thousands of dollars. You can do that with food stamps. There are so many different ways to get your scam going. You can rip off retailers. You can break into cars. But have we run out of so many different things to steal, and we'll let you steal whatever you want, California, that we're robbing old ladies of their precious mementos? That's a step too far. Maybe that's the rock bottom that we need so the pendulum starts swinging in the other direction. Because that kind of nonsense we cannot put up with here anywhere in the state of California. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. In the 12 o'clock hour, we took your phone calls about what music we should be playing at the MacArthur Park Metro Station to get rid of the drug addicts. Right now, classical music is working, but Ara Najarian wanted to switch it to Bolero for reasons. Will writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Says it goes to show that junkies' brains are truly fried. They could have just blocked out the classical music by shooting the dope directly into their eardrums. Problem solved. Now, we have done plenty of stories about thieving where nothing gets done. And even though there is a bill in the assembly right now to stop employees from going after shoplifters, there was one guy at an anime store in Orange County who says, "You are not stealing my freaking Pokemon cards." For more, here's KTLA.
Yeah, hey there, Samantha and Sandra. Yeah, these two thieves probably thought they would go into this store at the Main Place Mall, steal some things, and make a quick getaway. What they didn't count on is an employee who was determined to make sure things did not go so easy for them. This attempt to steal about $2,700 worth of Pokemon cards from the Main Place...
That's a lot of Charizards.
...from the Main Place Mall in Santa Ana did not go as planned for two accused thieves seen in this video. It happened June 26th, when police say the men went into the Anime Monsters store and took the cards without paying.
When they did come in, they went straight to get the items from the shelves. It's my understanding they pretended to pay at that moment is when they fled the store.
So they're doing the jewelry store sleight of hand trick with Pokemon cards. Got to make sure I get the rare Blastoise.
But a clean getaway was not in the cards. An employee of the store
Oh, boy. I mean, obviously, you can't do this story without the pun. Even I can't help myself from making Pokemon references. Pikachu.
But a clean getaway was not in the cards. An employee of the store decided to run after them.
We don't believe that there was a confrontation inside the store. All the confrontation happened outside once the employees saw them run from the store.
Those cards are my livelihood, man.
In this video, you can see the struggle between the employee and the two men continue on the bridge outside the mall. At one point, as what looks like a security guard makes his way up the steps, the men run off without the cards. They had dropped them during the struggle. Now, police want the public to look at these pictures of the suspect and see if you recognize them.
And if those jackasses damaged any of those cards, they're not going to be worth crap on eBay. How's he supposed to sell his rare Slowpoke now?
So again, this was June 26th. This happened. If you do recognize those guys, you can contact detectives here at the Santa Ana Police Department. Reporting live here in Santa Ana, I'm Chip Yost, KTLA 5 News.
Yeah, those pictures are pretty clear, Chip. Thank you.
So hopefully something gets done about that. We can't put up with this nonsense. And this one hits a little close to home for me, too. Because you know what? In high school, I had Pokemon cards. I would sit at a lunch table with the only 4 friends in the world who would spend time with me. And we would look at each other's Pokemon card collection in the 9th grade. And this is a true story. This will tell you a little bit about how I came to be a larger individual in life. In the 9th grade, I had my little binder of Pokemon cards. My buddy Andy had a little binder of Pokemon cards. And I was always jealous of Andy because he would come to school every single day with 2 sandwiches. His parents would make him 2 sandwiches every day. And they were simple sandwiches like bologna and bread. But you know what? They smelled great, and I wanted more food after I ate the food that I had. And one day, while opening a package of Pokemon cards, I had a rare Chansey. It was probably worth $15 whole. It was a big deal. And I could see that my friend wanted it. So I made a deal. And this is 100% true. I traded him that card, not for another card, not for a whole deck of cards. I traded it for one of his sandwiches every day for a month. And this is why my first program director called me a fat F. It's the John Phillips Show, and it's Randy Wang here on KBC.
Ooh, this doesn't look too good.